Hi everyone and welcome to Parks. Following Merlin's announcement about the World of Jumanji at Chessington World of Adventure, I wanted to make a video just to wrap it up and see what we know, what we discovered new, not much to be honest, and recap all the speculations, give you my opinion on the choice they made, and explain you why I think they missed a massive opportunity. So let's start from Chessington World of Adventure Instagram on National Roller Coaster Day. We received an updated visual and the kind of official, if you want, stating the obvious information that this is gonna be a Jumanji themed area. Saying stating the obvious because from the previous visuals that were released at the planning permission stage, basically we knew that already, and the new visual, everyone got really excited about it. It's really not adding anything to the previous visual that were shared. Now, in typical Merlin style, they had to have a world first. It's funny because they said this is gonna be the world's first Jumanji themed area. And I'm laughing because they are really picking carefully the word they use, because they used already world's first Jumanji themed attraction for Gardaland, so they need to find another way to classify this, and so this one is the world's first themed area. Right, Merlin, we know you are addicted to world first, and so yeah, got it. It's a themed area. Right, in terms of what the area is gonna have, we know there are gonna be like 2 flat rides, which my educated guess they are probably gonna be similar to what they implemented in Mythica in Legoland Windsor, and there is gonna be the hero coaster with this massive centerpiece. Now, regarding the coaster, from the first projects and drawing of the station, everyone kind of assumed that this was going to be a B&M wing coaster, me included. Looking again at the visual of the station, there is just one thing that doesn't really make sense. So, in a B&M wing coaster station, the track is much higher than what is shown here. It might be a case that the visual is just wrong, or B&M is gonna restyle completely the train, which would not make a lot of sense to me. Other speculations for about SNS axis. Now, the only reason to believe that is that SNS announced that an axis is gonna come to Europe in 2023. First shot on that was PortAventura in Spain, because they also announced that they're gonna have a one-of-a-kind new coaster, even though the current building site doesn't look like an SNS axis at all. Now, the reason why I don't think it's gonna be an axis in Chessington are the following. First thing, the station again. An axis in the station is an inverted coaster, so this visual would be even worse. Then, I don't see Merlin buying a new concept from SNS, because they did that in the past in Thor Park and Gardaland, and both of them were massive failures. And the third reason is that the Jumanji themed coaster is gonna be a shuttle coaster launched, and the SNS prototype for Axis, it's actually lift chain, and it's a classic loop, closed loop coaster. I wouldn't see SNS making something too far from that prototype in terms of first implementation. So I don't think this is gonna be an SNS Axis. Say that, let's say that this is gonna be a B&M wing coaster. I think it's not really the right choice, and let me explain you why. So B&M coaster, the wing coaster, has always been marketed as an extreme coaster. Just think about the Swarm in Thor Park or Raptor in Gardaland. If we're gonna do an intense extreme coaster in Chessington, this is just in the wrong park. The park, Chessington, the crowd of Chessington is made of families and kids, and there is nothing too intense in in there. Creating a B&M wing coaster as we know it as of today would be just too much for the typical crowd, and it's gonna end up like Ride to Happiness in Plopsaland, which is an amazing coaster in the wrong park, basically. Now Plopsaland has got a mixed crowd made of typical, Target and a bunch of enthusiasts which are going there and riding Ride to Happiness 25 times and doing only that one, while the usual crowd actually thinks that Ride to Happiness is too intense. Also, Ride to Happiness is always a walk on train because no one is doing it, basically. So it's just, for me, it's like the wrong investment considering the park. Or Chessington is gonna implement a mild version of a B&M wing coaster, which for me would be a pity, just because it would not be credible for B&M to do a mild implementation of their intense, world-known coaster. The other thing is that looking at the layout and how they created this coaster, is gonna have one train only. So being a shuttle, the train is gonna be back and forth, and they cannot have more than one train. Someone speculated that they might have two trains with a switch track, which is kind of impossible. First thing, because in the project there is no sight of that. Second thing is that because the station is already double-sided, having two stations would make the onboarding station as big as London Victoria, which I think it's not gonna happen. Say that with one train only, the hour capacity is gonna be low, and this is a problem of Merlin Park in general. Same mistake they did in Legoland with the mythical new attractions like the Flying Theater, the Bouncing Tower, and the water spinning thing. And they should focus their investment in high capacity attraction to sort out the elephant in the room, which is the waiting time in their parks. So why I think this is a missed opportunity? Well, because Merlin and Sony Pictures made a deal about the use of Jumanji franchise in Merlin Parks, and I think out there is a perfect ride, which is something in between a coaster and a dark ride, which is basically Max Europa Park Arthur, that would be a perfect fit with Jumanji. Looking at how they implemented Jumanji in Gardaland, which is a dark ride, and knowing how Arthur works, so it's got an indoor part and then turns into a standard coaster outside. Keeping in mind that it's a power coaster that can spin, it's really mild and family oriented. They could just copy and paste what they've done in Gardaland, but using Arthur as a type of coaster, and then when you leave the temple, do an outdoor part of the coaster, and that would be, in my opinion, probably the best attraction in UK by far. On top of that would be a perfect match with the target audience, and it's a ride which has got a really high capacity per hour. So I don't understand why they don't see this opportunity and this match. Maybe there is an issue of investment, because I don't assume Arthur comes cheap. But for me, that would be just the ideal implementation of theming that they are allowed to use in any park. And if I were them, I would have just gone straight away into doing Arthur Jumanji themed for Chessington. Anyway, I will keep updating you on the development of the World of Jumanji in Chessington. I'm also planning to go to the park and have a look at the building site. And if you like the video, please subscribe.